There is a part on your engine smaller than your thumb that decides whether you spend $3 or $5,000. Nobody checks it. Not you, and definitely not the mechanic who wants the rebuild. When your high-kilometre Commodore, Falcon, or Camry starts burning oil and blowing blue smoke, every workshop in the country will point straight at your piston rings and quote you for a new engine. They are skipping the cheap fault on purpose because the expensive one pays their wages. Before you hand over a single dollar, let me show you the $3 fix they hope you never find out about. To beat the trap, you first have to understand how it is set. Walk into any workshop with a car that is drinking oil and you will hear the same rehearsed script. The mechanic pulls the dipstick, sees it sitting low, maybe catches a faint blue haze drifting from the exhaust, and reaches straight for the most expensive words in the trade. Worn rings, tired bottom end, full rebuild. Those three words are worth $5,000 to him, and most drivers never think to question them. So here is what he is not telling you. An engine only burns oil for one of two reasons. Either the oil is sneaking into the combustion chamber from above, past the valve stem seals and the breathing system, or it is being forced in from below, past the piston rings. Worn rings are the genuinely expensive problem, but on a high-kilometre Commodore, a Falcon, a Camry or a Corolla sitting on 200,000 kilometres, the rings are almost never the first thing to go. The first thing to go is the one part nobody ever checks: the crankcase ventilation system. Every petrol engine builds pressure inside the block as the pistons hammer up and down. From the factory, there is a tiny one-way valve called the PCV valve that vents that pressure and recycles the fumes back into the intake to be burned cleanly. It is a cheap little plastic and spring component, no bigger than your thumb, and it is designed from day one to be replaced. The problem is, nobody ever replaces it. After 150,000 kilometres, that valve clogs solid with carbon and baked-on oil sludge. It jams. Sometimes shut, sometimes stuck wide open. And the moment it jams, all that pressure building inside your engine suddenly has nowhere to escape. So it does the only thing it can. It forces a fine mist of oil up past the valve seals. It sucks raw oil straight through the breather hose into the intake manifold, and it burns that oil in the cylinders. You get the blue smoke at the lights. You get the dipstick dropping every fortnight. You get the spark plugs fouling out and the rough idle. And to a worried owner standing in the driveway, it looks exactly, identically like a dead engine. The mechanic knows the difference. He just earns a great deal more money if you assume the worst and sign off on the rebuild. The exact same trick hides behind your valve stem seals. These are small rubber rings sitting up on top of the head that stop oil from weeping down into the cylinders while the car is parked overnight. With age and heat, they go hard, shrink, and crack. The telltale sign is a single puff of blue smoke on a cold start in the morning that clears within a few seconds once the engine warms. That is not a destroyed motor, that is a set of brittle seals, and on most engines they can be sorted without ever lifting the cylinder head off. None of this needs the engine pulled out of the car. None of it costs anywhere near $5,000. But you have to know this loophole exists before someone in a clean uniform talks you into surgery your car never needed. So here is the $3 fix, and the order you do it in matters. Start with that PCV valve because it is the cheapest part on the entire engine and the single most common cause of oil burning on high-kilometre cars. Walk into any Repco, Supercheap Auto, or Autobahn, give them your make, model, and year, and ask for the PCV valve. On a huge number of Commodores, Falcons, Camrys, Corollas, and Hiluxes, it will cost you between $3 and $15. It is usually screwed or pushed into the rocker cover or the intake manifold, connected by a single rubber hose. You can find it in 2 minutes with a torch. Pull the old one out. Give it a shake. If it does not rattle freely, it is jammed, and it has been choking your engine for years. Push the new one in, reconnect the hose, and you are done. No tools beyond a screwdriver. No workshop, no appointment. The very first time I tell people this, they do not believe a $3 part can stop a $5,000 problem. Then they fit it, the smoke clears within a couple of 100 kilometers, and the dipstick finally holds its level. Because once that valve is breathing properly again, the pressure stops forcing oil where it does not belong. While you are there, do the second cheap fix at the same time. Change the oil, but change it correctly. On a tired high-kilometre engine, you step up to a high-kilometre specific oil, the ones labelled for engines over 150,000 kilometres. These oils carry seal conditioners that swell those hard, shrunken valve stem seals back to size and stop them weeping. If your car runs a 530 grade and it is drinking oil, stepping up to a 1040 in a hot Australian climate gives the worn clearances a thicker film to hold against. That is another $40, not $4,000. And there is one more cheap culprit worth 10 minutes of your time. The breather hoses themselves. On an engine that has cooked in the Australian sun for 2 decades, those rubber hoses go brittle and split, and a cracked breather hose pulls oil through just like a jammed PCV valve does. Run your fingers along every hose connected to the rocker cover. If one is hard, cracked, or oily, a length of replacement hose from the parts store is a few dollars a meter. Between the valve, the right oil, and a fresh hose, you have spent maybe $60 total and addressed the 3 most common causes of oil burning on any high-kilometre car in the country. The dealer wanted $5,000. You spent the price of a takeaway dinner. Now, here is how you stay honest with yourself, because sometimes the rings really are gone, and you need to know which camp your car is in before you spend a cent at a workshop. There is a $20 test that settles it. Buy a compression tester from Supercheap or borrow one and check the compression in each cylinder. If the numbers are healthy and even across all of them, your rings are fine and your oil burning is coming from the cheap stuff up top, the valve and the seals. If 1 or 2 cylinders read dramatically low, squirt a little oil into that cylinder and test again. If compression jumps up with the oil in there, then yes, the rings are worn. But even then, you have spent $20 to know the truth instead of taking a stranger's word for a $5,000 job. And do not let the smoke alone scare you. A car that uses half a litre between oil changes is not dying. Every engine consumes a small amount of oil, and a high-kilometre 4-cylinder that drinks a little between services is completely normal. The danger figure is when you are topping up a litre every week with thick blue clouds at every set of lights. That is when the valve and the seals are screaming for the cheap fix. Learn the difference, write down your oil level at every fill-up for a month, and you will know exactly what your engine is doing long before any mechanic gets the chance to guess for you at $5,000 a guess. This is the whole game. The modern repair industry runs on the fact that the average driver cannot tell the difference between a $3 fault and a $3,000 one. So they quote you for the expensive one and hope you panic. The high-kilometre Aussie cars worth keeping, the Commodores, the Falcons, the Camrys, the Hiluxes, were built simple enough that you can actually check these things yourself in a driveway with a torch, a screwdriver, and a $20 gauge. A car burning a little oil at 200,000 kilometres is not a dead car. It is a car telling you a cheap part is tired. Top it up, fit the valve, run the right oil, and these engines will happily clear 300,000 kilometres while the bloke who scared you into a rebuild moves on to the next worried owner. So before you let anyone tell you the engine is finished, do the $3 fix first. Check the PCV valve, run the high-kilometre oil, inspect the breather hoses, and only then reach for the compression tester. You will save thousands, and you will keep a car that owes you nothing on the road for years. If this saved you from a repair bill you did not need, hit subscribe. Every week I pull apart the repair scams and the quiet money traps hiding inside the cars in your own driveway. And the oil burning quote is not the only place a workshop will try to empty your wallet. The exact same trick is being run with your automatic transmission right now. If you want to see the cheap fix that stops your gearbox slipping before someone charges you $4,000 for a rebuild, click the video on your screen right now.